Part 2 of tiny daily feminine habits to heal your anxious attachment style with your nervous system. Do you ever check your phone twice in a row just to make sure they didn't ignore your last text, or 3 times or 4 times? Overplan a date, then feel stressed when it doesn't go perfectly. Catching yourself rehearsing what to say next instead of just enjoying the moment together. And there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. It's very typical if you have an anxious attachment style. In this episode is about tiny daily feminine micro habits to step out of survival mode. Because if you are in this more toxic masculine energy, always in like, I have to protect myself because I'm not safe, you can't just like lean back and relax because you're always overthinking, overgiving, over trying, over projecting to feel safe, to control the outcome, to prevent hurt. But that's not regulation. It's create more anxiety. It's not good for your body, for your mind, and for relationships either. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Yula. I'm the Anxious to Secure coach, and welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. Masculine energy is about action, that's about doing and protection. Healthy masculine energy helps you to set boundaries, take initiative, and also create structure. It's both for both genders, and everyone has it. And feminine energy is more being, receiving, flowing. It helps you to soften, to trust, to receive, to enjoy the connection. It's like nurturing as well. And the thing is, if you have an anxious attachment style, you're probably in this wounded survival mode masculine energy. That's when action turns into chasing, control, overfixing, trying to really prevent hurt because you don't feel safe. Not because being feminine is bad, but because your system feels so unsafe and it forces safety somehow. And the only way you have learned when you were younger to know it's safe, right? So your anxious energy shows up in these tiny moments every day. In coffee breaks, waiting for a reply, small arguments, when your partner comes home and they're a bit moody and you try to predict, hey, are we okay? Are we safe? Is he going to leave me? Has he changed his mind? Deciding what you're going to wear on a date. And you basically train yourself every day through decisions, through actions, what is safe, what is not safe. But you could also create micro habits for the opposite, to train yourself that you are safe already, that you are okay, that there's no bear attacking you or chasing you, that you are okay, that even if someone will leave you, even if you're going to be rejected, that you are okay, that you are worthy, that you're lovable. And we want to give you who's we? I want to give you today some micro actions and details and habits of what you can do every day, even if you're busy, even if you're multitasking, to just learn to teach your body that you are able to receive and let go, and to stop managing and micromanaging and overpredicting, that you're okay and that you can just learn to love and be and trust and flow and receive and to feel secure. So I hope that made sense so far. Let me know in the YouTube comments if you have any questions on this. Let's start with micro habit number 1. And that is practice receiving. So your old behavior might be a little bit like mine. You get a compliment or a small gift and you immediately like downplay it. Maybe you did something amazing at work and you're like, oh, it's nothing. Or you really struggle to receive love or a compliment about your looks or about what you did. And you mentally calculate how you owe them back. You're blushing and you're looking down and you're like, this feels awkward. I don't know, even just like every time when it's like Christmas or birthdays and I receive a gift, and around my family, that's okay. But if I would be like on my partner's family circle and they give me gifts, it's still something uncomfortable for me, receiving a gift in a public space where I'm not 100% like comfortable yet. So I just don't like all my eyes on me yet, even though I'm already, on YouTube and having my podcast. And it's still something I'm still teaching my nervous system every day that is safe to receive, safe to receive compliments and words and gifts and all of these things. And it does take time and repetition depending on how often you are receiving things and you are getting things, let's say. And it also starts with you as well. How often are you kind to yourself? This new habit can sound like you want to pause and breathe and just say, thank you. And that's it. You don't have to say anything back. And it's okay if you feel super uncomfortable, but you don't have to downplay it. You don't have to say anything back or give anything back. And you don't have to overthink it as well. And just notice the small satisfaction without trying to earn it or downplay it. And it's okay if you just feel guilty or uncomfortable, but this is how you build up the capacity of learning to receive things. So why does this work? It's because receiving without overdoing sends the signal to your vagus nerve that you are already safe. It activates also the parasympathetic. It's calming your fight or flight overdrive. And building a muscle. Over time, the more you learn to just accept it and receive it and not overdo and overgive, the more you build the capacity to receive and to learn that feeling an uncomfortable emotion is nothing dangerous. Micro habit number 2 is embrace imperfection. Maybe before you were over planning dates and on outfits and everything had to be perfect. In your makeup, you would never leave the house if not your hair is perfectly straightened out. You had to have 7 skincare steps before you went to bed, and you were overthinking every conversation, panicking when things didn't go perfectly, worrying about things and not taking messy actions. This could be in work life as well, in your business, rather than going for a job interview, prepare. You would rather cancel it and miss it rather than thinking, okay, I can do this, I'm ready now. So the new habit might more look like you leave one thing undone, even if it's imperfect, because nothing will ever be perfect, especially if you are someone like me who has really high standards. It took me ages for me to even start this podcast because I thought, okay, I'm not ready yet. I don't have the scripts. I don't know exactly all the topics I want to talk about. What if I change my point of view on things? How am I even going to set up? Like, what do I even need? What camera equipment and what software? How am I going to set it up? You can't think your way out of building a brand and a business. You have to take one action step after another. And that's literally in a relationship the same way. You can't already know how your marriage is going to look like in 10 years if you don't take every day and every month and every year as it comes. And yes, you can plan and prepare, but over planning, over preparing is literally going to keep you stuck and increase your anxiety because you can't control everything that happens in future. So rather, instead, you're going to accept the imperfections and just take messy actions and stop forcing that everything has to be in a certain specific way. If you want your partner to plan a date, let it be okay that it's not their dream restaurant. Let it be okay that it's not maybe a corner table that you prefer, that you didn't check out the reviews online before. Let it be a little bit messy and learn to be okay. It might be very uncomfortable, but it's just an emotion. The more you learn to feel the emotion and processes, which I teach my clients, the more this process is going to be easier. And your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that regulates your emotion and is there for decision making, gets trained to handle uncertainty over time. So each time you tolerate imperfection, and weakens the amygdala as well. The thing that sounds the alarm, so your nervous system relaxes more every time. The anxiety will be reduced the more you tell yourself, you know what, this wasn't as bad as I thought. It might have felt uncomfortable, but I survived it. And this is how you show yourself, I can do this. Habit number 3 is slow down mentally. So maybe right now, if you have an anxious attachment style, you're rehearsing conversations, you're overanalyzing text replies and words they say or micro shifts of what they do, your partner. Maybe they didn't say I love you in a while, or they said love you instead of I love you. So you're overanalyzing every tiny thing about them and their reaction, and how often they text and what they text and what they say, how they show up after an argument, how they speak about the future, and you see everything as a threat, and you don't have just one or two thoughts like this. You have so many thoughts about this. Your mind is racing, you're overthinking for hours, and you're just reacting immediately from a fear-based place all the time in your relationships. Maybe not just in your romantic relationships, maybe also in your friends' relationships. If they forgot to wish you happy birthday and only text you a day later, you're making this mean they don't care about you. You're not a priority. You should remove them from your friend lists. If you're building a business and they're not liking everything on your social media, on your business account, and they're not sharing everything, you make it mean they're bad friends as well. So you're overthinking everything and you're adding meaning into everything. And maybe your new habit now could be just pause and breathe a few times before responding, acting, and having all of these fast, anxiety-driven thoughts. And just notice your body and the sensation. Does it show up in your heart? Is your heart increasing? Is your breath very shallow? Maybe your cheeks get very hot. Maybe you feel like this knot in your stomach. Just slow down and notice the sensation. And only now you want to react. Maybe now you're ready to maybe send one text, or maybe now you're realizing you don't need to send a text or another one. You're actually okay. You can detach from that. Or maybe you're realizing you don't need to add meaning to this. Maybe it's okay if they didn't text you on your birthday. They are just, human, and you don't measure friendships and love in how fast they respond or the way they respond, and it's okay. And you don't have to obsess over every micro movement and shift in tone and what your partner says or how they say things or how they show up, because you know already they do love you, they care for you. And just because they say things and you realize you don't have to monitor someone's action to be safe or to be loved. And this shift also works because just alone pausing activates the prefrontal cortex and suppresses the reactive fight or flight amygdala that really wants to act fast and tell you this is a threat and this is a threat, and it wants you to act very fast. And over time, your brain learns that slowing down is safe, taking a deep breath is safe. You don't have to act right now. You don't have to send the text right now. You don't have to have millions of thoughts right now to trying to predict the future outcome you're afraid of. You can just breathe and you're okay. You don't need to predict or overanalyze and be hypervigilant around you. You're okay no matter if your partner's moody or what specific words they've used. And this is reducing this urge to fix or chase or prevent or manage. And before I continue with the next habits, let me share with you that I have lots of free resources. I think about 30 plus in the attachment library. They are linked below the YouTube video or in the show notes if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. Please also like this podcast if you like this so far and follow me along. In this attachment library, there's like a worry-free flowchart, which is very popular. There are journaling prompts on healing your abandonment, fears, a checklist to go from anxious to secure, quizzes to figure out, hey, am I actually anxious attached or am I actually disorganized attached? Or what attachment style are you? To double check as well if you already managed to work on your attachment style, to check, hey, what am I right now on? Also a quiz on figuring out your relationship needs, your top 2 core needs, because if you don't know your subconscious core needs, you will always sabotage in relationships. For example, if your core need is certainty, you will try to get certainty met in relationships in a way that's very unhelpful in the fastest way possible, like through overthinking, through predicting the future, through talking things out in the moment. So it's important to figure out what are your top unmet relationship needs so you can then learn to meet them in healthy ways. So anyway, lots of free resources about jealousy, about anything. Check them out. And there's also my mini courses linked below and ways to work with me. So let's continue with habit number 4 to heal your anxious attachment style and to relax more into your feminine energy. And that is detach from outcomes and timelines. So if you're feeling pressured by timelines like I have to be married by the age of 30 or get kids and raise a family and get pregnant by the age of 35, or actions driven by fear, and you have this scarcity mindset of I need to do this or get to this place. I need to buy a house and reach this certain level in my career by a certain time, then this part is for you. And first of all, let me tell you, this is completely normal. Not just, I think, for someone who has an anxious attachment style, but also the older you get, you do get this pressure, especially as women. We have an internal clock for raising a family and even be able to produce babies. What do you say? To give birth. So this is all very real. But if you come from a place of, I have to do this, I don't have time, or I need to find the right man now, and you get into this dating scene of, I don't have time, I have to figure this out right now, we know we can't manifest or get our results done in a good way from force and pressure, from anxiety. To regulate and get results from a grounded place and find the right partner and even raise a family and meet your deadlines, it has to come from a relaxed and grounded and detached place. So first, I want you to notice what timeline for you is causing stress and focus on what you can actually control, your energy, your choices, and your presence. For example, if you worried about it's too late for you to even, give birth or create a family, I want you to, first of all, do research. For me, that was the same problem as for one of my clients. So I want you to do research on, hey, until what age is it actually possible for women to give birth, and what year is actually declining the rate, and to actually have a realistic timeline on this. Then what are all the other options to open your mind a little bit about this? And then maybe you want to already plan what else is in your control. Maybe you want to already start putting some money besides for alternative options. Everything you can do in your control will help you ease your anxiety, because I already planned for certain steps. I focus on what I can control, and now I'm much more in this grounded energy, and I can detach from anything that is not in my control anymore. I can focus on this is my goal, but if this shouldn't happen, these are my other options, instead of always thinking the worst case scenarios. And in reality, maybe you still have 5 years left. That will be way more than you probably even need to make things happen. So before you jump to conclusions and only focus on negatives right now, before you're in this very fearful driven mindset, first of all, check all the facts. What are the facts? And separate them from your fears. So you can actually realize what is in your control and plan for some alternative options as well, if it's really the case. And only then you can step into the goal from a detached place. And shifting away from future outcomes also then lowers your cortisol and stress hormone. And you see that maybe, you always had this specific future vision by a specific future timeline, but now you're realizing, okay, maybe this is also an option, or this is an option, and maybe it doesn't have to happen by this time, and maybe there's still more time than I thought. And you're opening yourself up and you're detaching from this very hyper-specific vision you had. And micro habit number 5 is create feminine joy moments. Maybe right now you're over focusing on their mood, very hypersensitive like I am. It's very hard to be around someone if they have a bad day, maybe are stressed from work, maybe depressed, and you're overly taking on their mood as well. If they have a bad day, I have a bad day, because it might come from the place of deep down fear of it has something to do with you maybe, or that, hey, if they have a bad day, it's not actually about them having a bad day. It's you're sensing something is wrong deep down. You're making this mean maybe there's something wrong with our relationship. Maybe eventually they will move away or get out of the relationship and they will leave you. And this could be a very deep down subconscious fear that you're not even aware of. Or in general, it can be very hard for you to be in an environment where there's negative energy, conflict, because if you're very sensitive, this can put your mood down as well. And I get that. But it's important to focus on you, that even if someone has a bad day or they're going through things, that you don't have to take on that energy, that you can remove yourself from that room, even if it's just for a few moments, and you can still try to focus on you and not being tied down with this. So I want you to practice micro moments of detaching from how they feel to how you feel, and not letting their mood dictate your mood. For example, remove yourself from that room if they are the downer. Even just go for a walk, just 5 minutes, just take a deep breath, go make yourself a cup of coffee, even smile and try to laugh, even if it feels a little bit fake. Move your body, dance a little bit, put a song on, go just into the next room and detach from that, and just try to, laugh, be in flow, go and enjoy the sun on your skin to regulate. Because if you're in the same room with someone, especially, your nervous systems get synced, and maybe just removing yourself from the situation for a few minutes, doing something that is filling your cup a little bit, will help you to realize my mood doesn't depend on theirs and theirs doesn't depend on yours. You don't have to try to fix their mood, try to cheer them up, especially if they're not willing to do that. Like when I'm in a bad mood, my partner is really good in cheering me up, and that makes me feel really good. But when I try to do this for him, it doesn't work at all. So that's hard for me to accept, because I would love for him to be happy or a little bit cheered up when I try to help him out. But he's different, and learning to realize I don't have to fix his mood just for my safety and my happiness. It's hard, but you have to focus on you. And this also teaches your brain that you can feel also pleasure and joy and connection without over managing. You can connect to yourself, and then afterwards you can maybe then connect to your partner again. Because I did this the other day. A partner had a really bad moment, and I was really taking this all on. I thought, why do I feel now so low as well? And I thought, I have to get up, even though it was very hard to do in that moment, and just changing the environment helped everything. I then went back. I think it was just 1 minute later. For some reason, he was, doing a little better as well. And I did express myself, and I said, I really feel bad. I'm bummed out when you're bummed out. But he said he can't help it. And then literally there was like a song playing on some kind of show we watched, and he was actually starting dancing. So, even if, I don't know if it was me just walking out of the room and this changed the energy, but if I would have stayed in the room, if I would have been bummed out, and he would have been bummed out, and we would have both just sitting there, it would have not worked. We would have both been just completely depressed, and I would have felt really resentful. And focus on you, focus on not managing his emotions, trying to fix him, change him, make him feel happy just so you can feel happy. Micro habit 6 is create white space. So maybe your schedule is jam-packed and you're this overachiever, and you want to have your day schedule from like the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, because you love to work, you want to achieve, and it makes you feel safe and good enough. That's great. Being an extremely hard worker is probably tied with your self-worth, and there's a lot of good parts in that, but it can also make you feel more in this more fight or flight state where you are dysregulated, and it's not good for your nervous system to be always on, to be always having something to do and not being relaxed and just learning to receive and just to be, and relaxing your mind as well. So for you, if this is you, my habit for you is just leave some unplanned time in the calendar. Sit with boredom and uncertainty without reacting. And that can be feeling extremely hard if you're someone like, if you can't even go on holiday and just sit on the beach and just sit there without thinking about your business or thinking about your relationship, or if you're always on, either if it's in your mind or if you're doing something with your kids and multitasking. Last holiday, my partner and I went to Cefalù here in Sicily. We had this little space where there was a pool, and there was this mother, and she had, I think, 2 or 3 kids. Her parents were there as well to take care of the kids. And she, not even for like 1 minute, was not in the pool, wasn't sitting to relax. She was either on her phone all the time at the pool, or was always keeping the kids busy. They had the pool, they had the toys, they had everything. They had their grandparents to play with. They had everything in the world possible to be entertained. But the mom, as you know, she is in this fight or flight energy, couldn't even sit down for 1 minute to just breathe and relax. And okay, I'm not a mom. I don't know how it is. You could say that, but that's also very typical no matter if you're a parent or not. You feel like you have to keep doing and doing more and keep being busy to feel safe, to feel like, you know, you're doing something proactive, but all you're doing is like dysregulating your body, keeping the anxiety level up. And how bad it was also for her family and for herself is she created this disconnection. She was snapping at her kids all the time. There was not a single moment of connection that I really saw. It was truly beautiful to see, and it was a shame, you know. And like she was taking pictures in between as well of her kids, and there would be not a memory for me that I would want to remember. Like I'm sure like if the kids or her would remember this holiday, what is the memory you would want to share from that? That's very sad to see for me. So if you are seeing yourself in that, don't beat yourself up for it. This is more like a moment of, hey, you know what? What do I want to teach my kids? Why do I even have a family in the first place, right? In the end, I think it's all about connection as well. So slowing down and just having some white space for you just to be with yourself, and then later on be with your kids and be with your partner and just be with other people, but it has to start with you first. The more you're able to be with you in that moment and be bored without being on the phone, without planning in your head 20 things you're going to do, or you're going to cook, or you're going to create, the more safety you can create from within. White space also activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Again, the rest and digest. It's allowing emotional regulation and your nervous system recovery. You strengthen your brain's ability to self-soothe. So that's a huge part for you if you are that kind of person. Yeah, and some takeaways I would say today is like anxious attachment really wants to control. It wants to do, predict, being busy, but you can't feel safe while you're overdoing. You also want to do less, to just be and flow and detaching. And that's literally feminine energy, being soft and present and learning to receive and trusting the time and yourself and flowing. And it's coming through micro moments. You teach your nervous system what is safe, that you're good enough through micro moments. But you can also teach yourself what is not safe through micro moments if you just do and predict and chase and have all of these thoughts and being reactive. So what are you choosing to do this week, today? Are you choosing to learn to detach and to slow down and to learn to receive without downplaying yourself? Or are you trusting that you are already safe and you don't have to chase or convince or predict, that you can just be a little bit, breathe a little bit deeper, take a step back, and that you can trust in the time? Each habit literally rewires your brain for calm and trust and secure connection. These habits heal also your anxious attachment style from the inside out by retraining your nervous system and your brain. And I hoped you liked this episode. If this resonated with you, please let me know in the YouTube comments what you thought about this and what part of you resonated with you, or any questions, and reach out via email what you want to hear next about, or share your story as well. I would love to hear from you. I'm happy to share anything about my personal life via email to you as well. And I want to share with you at the end actually why healing attachment style also matters, by the way. Because let's be honest, nobody really cares about attachment styles, okay? It's a theory, right? What we care about is, why do I feel so triggered? Or why do I snap at my partner or even kids when I don't really want to? Why do I feel so anxious all the time and so reactive? Why do I always end up chasing emotionally distant people or being attracted to the same kind of partner? Or maybe you feel like, why do I never feel like a priority in my relationships? Why do I never feel chosen? And that is really the deep stuff that is about attachment theory and healing your anxious attachment style as well. And when you don't heal your anxious attachment style, it runs your entire nervous system. You're always in this fight or flight energy that we have learned today, and you overthink every text, you overplay every moment, and you go from feeling super connected to feeling like you're about to be abandoned because you need them so much and you can't live without them. And the thought of they might leave or they might like someone else will literally tear you up inside. But when you do the work, the beautiful thing is everything starts to shift in micro ways first. Like you stop being so reactive. You pause before sending a panicking message and you actually learning to receive love in a whole different way. You didn't even see the love that was already there beforehand. You might even realize, hey, you know what? I am with a really good partner. I just didn't receive love in the way they're already giving it to me. You actually start trusting that if your partner doesn't reply for an hour, it doesn't mean they don't love you. You become softer, more grounded. You stop needing constant reassurance or validation because you start giving it to yourself as well. And guess what? That changes how your partner shows up as well for you because they feel more safe and more accepted and respected and loved. And when you're more calm and regulated, they also relax and they come more to you. When you stop chasing and needing them all the time, over relying, they lean in. So when you start communicating from this security, grounded, detached place instead of fear, connection gets deeper and you stop fighting for love. And yeah, you will experience all of this. And your self-esteem, it grows quietly in the background more and more. You walk differently, you speak differently, you attract different results, like in your relationships, in your work, in your career. And you also stop tolerating less, like breadcrumb energy, because you finally believe I deserve more. And you're not afraid to walk away or to speak up for yourself. And no, leaving and avoiding a partner is not the solution. If you thought about it, I hear this all the time. Because if you don't heal the anxious pattern, you'll start attracting another version of them. I swear to this. Different face, same dynamic. That's why the work has to start with you. In my coaching, I always guide clients through my 4R method. May this be through a trigger or you're really healing your anxious attachment style through the system. It's the same process I used when I healed my anxious attachment style. And it always works and starts first with the emotions. You want to release your emotions first, the stuck energy that has been within you for probably years. You learn how to feel safe and to release anxiety, the fear, instead of avoiding and suppressing the emotion, because emotions that are resisted always come back louder. And then the second step is we're working on beliefs. We're rewiring your limiting beliefs and your fearful stories, your fear about not being good enough, your stories about that I'm not too much or people will leave. And this is actually the root cause of your anxious attachment style. While you're actually anxiously attached, you will see everything in your relationships through these lens of people will leave, I'm not good enough, and that's why you're acting this way. That's why you're feeling anxious or jealous. And then we rewire this through actions. And that is step 3. We're learning what are your core unmet needs, and we learn to meet them independently ourselves first, and then learn to express these needs also in a way that is grounding and detached, not from a demanding place. Because if you don't learn what are your top core needs in a relationship, you meet them yourself first, your subconscious mind will always find ways to meet them in very unhealthy and fast ways. And that's the sabotage we're always talking about, right? That's why we sabotage, even though we don't want to do certain things like chasing or being clingy in air quotes, we do those things. And then the 4th step is really we want to become whole, because we have suppressed certain parts within ourselves since we were younger, because we've been told, oh, you shouldn't be this way, and we've been shaming ourselves. And once we accepted all parts within ourselves, we become less triggered and more secure. That is really shadow part and shadow work. There's a reason why we're attracted to emotionally unavailable people, because partly we are emotionally unavailable to ourselves or to other people. We are attracted to inconsistent love because we're inconsistent partly to ourselves or other people. So we're looking at this part as well. And that's literally the process I walk through my clients in my coaching containers. And if you're listening, thinking, you know what, that sounds really tempting. I really want this as well. I want to feel good enough no matter what my partner says, no matter of the outcome. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I'm really curious about how this looks like, and if I want to invest in something like this, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me or book a free call with me, and we will see what's the best fit for you and your specific situation. I have WhatsApp coaching, which is called Text and Talk. It is very flexible, cancel any month. And I also have one-on-one coaching calls, also very flexible. You can cancel any month, or I have bigger containers, which is more like a program, a bigger investment. So it's important that you reach out to me, not to just book something, because I want to make sure this is the right fit for you. So yeah, I've done this work myself. I've helped others to do it too. And you can become secure. You don't have to be this anxious, insecure version of yourself if you don't want to be. You can have healthy relationships and attract love that feel good and where you get what you deserve. But it starts within healing that anxious part of you, because that's what changes everything. And I also want to say something important here, because sometimes we think, I'm just anxious, it's fine, it's just how I am, and it's not harmless, it's not going to change much over the next years. You know, if I'm going to stay anxious, I'm just going to have a probably crappy love life, but you know what? That's the worst that can happen. And I know I'm not a doctor, but I experienced the physical consequences of being anxiously attached for 30 years myself. And I've seen this in other clients too, who come to me being anxious for 40 years or 30 years. And it can really have a huge impact and consequences on your physical body as well, if being constantly in fight or flight. And the body really pays the price. So again, I'm not a doctor, but when emotions get stuck, they don't just disappear. They go somewhere. They turn into chronic stress, which they could turn into chronic fatigue, digestive issues, migraines, IBS, whole lots of other things. And that's what nobody really talks about. I really wish someone would have taught me this in school already, so you can really do nervous system regulation work and rewiring your beliefs and all of this early on. And that ignoring anxiety doesn't just make it go away, it moves into your body. For me, and first it shows through some migraines and some stomach issues, but eventually it will turn chronic. And that's, I think, the worst part about this. And for me, the impact is something I will probably have to manage for the rest of my life. Even though I can't change it now, I'm so grateful I started this work, because it means I'm not creating new chronic symptoms. I'm not adding more chaos to the system already. And I don't say this to scare you. I say this to really wake you up. When you stay anxious too long, your nervous system eventually gives up. You go from fight or flight into freeze and then into shutdown. Your digestive system slows down as well, and you stop your energy, you stop feeling joy, and you're always thinking, oh, what's the point? You're feeling hopeless, and you're always thinking like, yeah, why always me? But when you do heal, when you become secure, it's the opposite. You wake up with energy again, and you actually sleep through the night, and you smile in the morning instead of waking up with a pit in your stomach, and you stop checking your phone before your eyes are even open. And you start with this sense of calm and confidence, and you can walk into your partner's hug and relax instead of just wondering if they still love you. And even if you're single, you're not wondering, oh, why am I single? No one will ever find me or love me. You are okay with that. You feel confident in your body, and you can breathe deeper. And healing anxious attachment doesn't just make your relationships better, it makes your entire life feel lighter and calmer and safer. And your body starts to trust you again. And when it does, when your body starts to trust you again, that's when everything starts changing. Kind of hesitated on how I should express this, and I don't want to scare you and say you have to become secure or else. So I hope that didn't come across as too harsh, but I feel like if someone would have told me this before I had my massive silent migraine episodes a few years ago where I couldn't visually see anything for a couple of weeks, I literally thought I'll lose my eyesight because of all of this, that would have been extremely helpful. So I'm saying this with all my love. and help you anyways. I'm grateful you're here. If you have any questions about this, reach out to me, and I'll see you in the next episode. Lots of love, Yula. And as a reminder, change in your relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and now episode by episode. Bye bye.